Welcome to our deep dive into one of history's most controversial narratives, the Great Moses Hoax, fake history that inspired the Bible Exodus story. Today, we challenge the traditional tale by exploring claims that the epic journey, the miracles, and the legendary leader Moses might be more myth than fact. In this video, we question long-held assumptions about the Exodus and consider alternative interpretations that suggest deliberate fabrication or exaggeration of ancient events. Prepare to journey through disputed evidence, shifting historical contexts, and modern scholarly debates that all point to a re-examination of one of the Bible's cornerstone stories. Let's unravel the layers of myth and mystery behind the Moses legend. The story of Moses has long been embedded in religious tradition and cultural memory, yet recent interpretations propose that his narrative may have been constructed as a unifying myth for ancient peoples. Historical records from surrounding civilizations offer little corroboration for the dramatic events described in the Bible, fueling speculation that the tale was assembled over centuries to serve political and theological purposes. Early scribes and storytellers, it is argued, might have woven together fragments of folklore, local legends, and misunderstood historical events into the sweeping epic we now recognize. By blending symbolic acts with literal interpretations, the narrative gained power, reinforcing communal identity and authority. Archaeological findings, or the notable lack thereof, further complicate the picture, as ruins and inscriptions that might confirm the Exodus remain elusive. This segment examines the roots of the Moses myth, questioning how oral traditions and selective memory could evolve into a foundational religious saga. We delve into ancient manuscripts, cultural syncretism, and the possibility that the Exodus story was intentionally reworked to inspire unity and purpose among disparate groups, setting the stage for enduring myth-making. A critical look at the evidence surrounding the Moses story reveals a mosaic of contradictions and gaps that challenge its historical veracity. Many scholars point to inconsistencies between biblical accounts and extra-biblical records, arguing that what we consider sacred history may in fact be a composite of exaggerations and later interpolations. Archaeological digs across Egypt and the Sinai Peninsula have yet to uncover definitive proof of a mass exodus or the dramatic miracles described in the scriptures. Instead, some findings suggest that natural phenomena and regional conflicts could have been reinterpreted through a mythic lens, gradually evolving into the Exodus narrative over generations. Critics also highlight anachronisms in the texts, where cultural details seem to belong to eras different from that of Moses' supposed lifetime. Moreover, comparisons with other ancient Near Eastern myths reveal striking similarities in themes of liberation and divine intervention. In this segment, we explore these controversial pieces of evidence, questioning the motivations behind preserving and propagating a story that may have served more as a political tool than a factual record. The debate continues as modern historians and archaeologists reassess ancient sources, calling into question the reliability of a narrative that has defined faith for millennia. If the Moses narrative is indeed a constructed myth, the implications for both historical scholarship and modern cultural identity are profound. The potential reclassification of the Exodus story challenges not only the timeline of ancient events but also the foundational beliefs of billions. For centuries, Moses has been revered as a prophet, liberator, and lawgiver, his story interwoven with the evolution of religious thought and societal norms. A reassessment of his historicity forces us to consider how collective memory and identity can be shaped by narratives that may blend fact with fiction. This segment delves into how a mythologized past has been instrumental in forging national and religious identities, while also exploring the political benefits reaped by ancient rulers and religious leaders who harnessed such stories to legitimize their authority. As we examine alternative historical records and cultural artifacts, we begin to see a pattern of myth-making that transcends individual belief systems, influencing art, literature, and legal traditions. The discussion not only questions the origins of the Exodus but also invites viewers to reflect on the nature of truth in historical narrative, how legends are crafted, sustained, and sometimes debunked, reshaping our understanding of the past. In recent decades, a surge of scholarly research and public debate has revived interest in reinterpreting the Moses narrative. Modern historians, theologians, and archaeologists increasingly rely on interdisciplinary approaches to dissect the layers of myth, symbolism, and potential truth within the Exodus story. Some experts suggest that the narrative served as a powerful allegory for liberation and hope, while others insist that its embellishments obscure rather than illuminate historical reality. Digital reconstructions, forensic analyses, and comparative mythology studies are now at the forefront of this investigation, offering fresh perspectives that challenge traditional readings. Debates rage in academic circles over the reliability of ancient texts and the possibility that later redactions and cultural biases have colored the original story. This segment examines these modern interpretations, highlighting how new technology and methodologies are reshaping our understanding of ancient events. By scrutinizing the sources, re-evaluating archaeological data, and drawing parallels with other ancient myths, scholars continue to push the boundaries of conventional wisdom, urging a more nuanced view of a story that has long been held as incontrovertible truth. As we approach the conclusion of our exploration, the enigma surrounding the Exodus story remains as compelling as ever. Scholars and skeptics alike are left with more questions than answers, prompting a re-examination of what constitutes historical truth. In this final segment, we summarize the key points of our investigation: the dubious origins of the Moses myth, the patchwork of conflicting evidence, and the far-reaching cultural and political impacts of a narrative that may have been deliberately shaped over time. The debate over Moses' historicity is emblematic of a broader struggle between myth and evidence, a struggle that underscores the complexities of interpreting ancient sources. While definitive proof may continue to elude us, the enduring power of the Exodus story lies in its ability to inspire and provoke critical thought. By questioning established narratives, we open the door to a richer, more dynamic understanding of history, one where myths are not merely discarded but recontextualized to reveal deeper truths about human society and the construction of collective memory. One of the most debated aspects of the Moses story is its deep connections to Egyptian mythology and historical narratives. Scholars have long pointed out that elements of Moses' tale bear striking similarities to earlier Egyptian legends, such as the birth story of Sargon of Akkad, which predates the Exodus account by centuries. In both stories, a child is placed in a basket and sent down a river, only to be rescued and raised in royalty. Additionally, the plagues described in the Bible, turning the Nile to blood, swarms of locusts, and darkness, parallel natural disasters recorded in Egyptian history, though in less dramatic terms. Some researchers believe that these elements were borrowed and reshaped to fit a theological framework, reinforcing the idea that the Hebrews were divinely chosen. The name Moses itself has an Egyptian origin, related to the suffix mos, meaning son of or born of, as seen in names like Thutmose and Amos. This segment explores how Egyptian history and mythology may have influenced the construction of Moses' story, questioning whether the Exodus narrative is a reworking of earlier, well-known legends adapted to fit a new religious ideology. The biblical account describes Moses leading the Israelites through the Sinai wilderness for 40 years, yet no substantial archaeological evidence supports this claim. Given the massive number of people said to have participated, over 600,000 men, plus women and children, their presence should have left behind clear remnants such as pottery, tools, or even burial sites. However, extensive excavations throughout the Sinai Peninsula have failed to uncover traces of a wandering population from the supposed timeframe. Some researchers argue that the story may have been an exaggerated retelling of smaller migratory movements or entirely fabricated as a symbolic journey of spiritual transformation. Others suggest that the timeline in the Bible is incorrect, possibly referring to events that happened centuries apart and were later merged into one grand narrative. This segment delves into the perplexing absence of evidence, questioning whether the story of Moses leading an entire nation through the wilderness is a historical event or a theological allegory. One of the defining moments of Moses' story is his receipt of the Ten Commandments on Mount Sinai. These laws became the foundation of Judeo-Christian ethics, yet their origins are subject to much debate. Some scholars argue that these commandments were not divinely revealed but rather adapted from older legal codes, such as the Code of Hammurabi, which predates Moses by several centuries. The similarities between the two suggest that the Israelites may have incorporated existing legal traditions into their own belief system. Additionally, the idea of a covenant between a people and their deity was a common political tool used in the ancient world to legitimize authority and unify tribes under a shared moral code. This segment examines whether the Ten Commandments were truly divine laws or if they were strategically crafted to consolidate power and establish societal order. Some historians propose that the story of Moses was influenced by, or even based on, the historical figure of Pharaoh Akhenaten. Akhenaten is known for his radical religious reforms, attempting to replace Egypt's traditional polytheistic worship with the exclusive worship of one god, Aten. This monotheistic shift bears a striking resemblance to Moses' teachings about the worship of Yahweh. Furthermore, Akhenaten was eventually overthrown, and his religious movement was erased from official records, just as Moses was said to have led his followers out of Egypt after defying the pharaoh. Some researchers speculate that Moses could have been a high-ranking Egyptian who followed Akhenaten's ideology and, after his exile, spread monotheism among the Hebrews. This segment explores the fascinating theory that Moses and Akhenaten may be two sides of the same historical coin. One of the most dramatic moments in the Exodus story is Moses parting the Red Sea, allowing the Israelites to escape Pharaoh's pursuing army. While traditionally considered a miracle, some scholars and scientists have proposed natural explanations. One theory suggests that a phenomenon called wind setdown could have temporarily exposed a land bridge in a shallow body of water, enabling a group to cross before the waters rushed back. Others point to the Reed Sea, Yam Suf, a smaller marshy region, as the actual location of the crossing, rather than the deep waters depicted in religious art. Ancient records do mention catastrophic floods and shifting tides that may have inspired this story. This segment examines the various scientific and historical explanations that challenge the miraculous depiction of this event. For an event as significant as the Exodus, one would expect Egyptian records to mention the departure of an entire labor force, yet no direct evidence exists. While ancient Egypt was known for carefully preserving its history, no inscriptions, monuments, or papyri detail a mass Hebrew departure, plagues, or the loss of an entire pharaoh's army in the sea. Some argue that Egyptian scribes would have deliberately omitted such an embarrassing event, while others believe the Exodus never happened on the scale described. This segment investigates why Moses and his story are absent from Egyptian historical accounts. The Bible never explicitly names the pharaoh of the Exodus, leading scholars to speculate about his identity. Many theories suggest Ramses II, as the city of Pyramus is mentioned in the biblical account. However, no Egyptian records indicate a massive departure of Hebrew slaves during his reign. Other candidates include Thutmose III or Amenhotep II, whose reigns align with possible Exodus timelines. Some researchers argue that the pharaoh was a fictional composite, created to symbolize oppression and divine justice. The absence of a definitive historical figure further fuels doubts about the literal accuracy of the Exodus story. One of the most striking moments in Moses' story is the Israelites' worship of the golden calf while he is on Mount Sinai. This event is often interpreted as a test of faith, but it may also reflect real religious struggles among the early Hebrews. Archaeological evidence suggests that the Israelites originally practiced polytheism before shifting to monotheism. The golden calf may symbolize older Canaanite religious traditions clashing with the emerging Yahweh-centric worship promoted by Moses. This segment explores how religious reform and internal conflicts shaped the Exodus narrative. The 40-year journey in the wilderness is often seen as a literal test of endurance, but many scholars believe it serves as a metaphor for the formation of Israelite identity. The hardships, divine punishments, and laws given during this period may represent the real-life struggles of nomadic tribes consolidating into a single people. The repeated theme of rebellion against Moses suggests an effort to explain early societal divisions and the eventual unification under a shared covenant. This segment examines how myth and reality intertwine in the wilderness narrative. The Ark of the Covenant, said to contain the Ten Commandments, is one of the most mysterious artifacts in biblical history. While religious tradition holds that it was a divine object, historical evidence is scarce. Some scholars believe the ark may have been a symbolic representation of divine presence rather than a physical object. Others argue that it was based on Egyptian religious artifacts used in temple rituals. The disappearance of the ark adds to the mystery, with theories ranging from it being hidden to it never having existed at all. Ancient societies often used grand narratives to unite people and justify political power. The Exodus story, with its themes of liberation, divine law, and chosen destiny, aligns with known propaganda strategies used by rulers to solidify control. Could Moses have been a literary construct designed to give the Israelites a national origin story? This segment delves into the possibility that the Exodus account was shaped to serve political and theological purposes rather than recount literal history. The Moses story is not unique. Other ancient cultures have similar tales of heroic leaders, divine intervention, and migration. The Epic of Gilgamesh, Hindu Vedic texts, and Greek myths all contain parallels to Moses' trials and triumphs. These similarities suggest a shared mythological framework that different civilizations adapted to their own histories. Could the Exodus be another version of a universal hero's journey rather than a singular historical event? Some scholars believe that the Exodus story took its final form during the Babylonian exile, 6th century BCE, centuries after the events it describes. During this time, Jewish scribes may have reinterpreted older traditions to provide hope and a sense of identity for a displaced people. This segment examines how the Babylonian exile may have influenced the way the Exodus was written and remembered. Moses is portrayed as the ultimate lawgiver, but was he the first? Ancient Mesopotamian societies, including the Babylonians and Hittites, had legal codes that predate the Ten Commandments. The similarities suggest that the laws attributed to Moses may have been influenced by or adapted from earlier sources. This raises the question, was Moses an original historical figure, or was his role as a lawgiver modeled on older traditions? Some scholars propose that the Israelites were not foreign slaves who escaped from Egypt but rather an indigenous Canaanite group that gradually developed a distinct identity. Archaeological evidence suggests that early Israelites shared cultural and material similarities with Canaanites rather than appearing as an external invading force. If true, this would challenge the entire foundation of the Exodus story, reframing it as an ideological rather than historical event. Moses' encounter with the burning bush is one of the most famous divine revelations in history. Some researchers suggest it may have been inspired by a real natural event, such as a plant emitting flammable gas or an illusion caused by desert heat. Others see it as purely symbolic, representing spiritual enlightenment. This segment explores the possible explanations behind the burning bush story. The 10 plagues of Egypt are a dramatic part of the Exodus story, but could they have natural explanations? Some theories suggest that the Nile turning red could have been caused by toxic algal blooms, while the locust swarms and darkness might have resulted from volcanic activity or climate shifts. This segment examines whether the plagues were real events interpreted through a mythological lens. Moses often clashes with other religious figures, such as Aaron and Korah, over leadership and authority. These conflicts may reflect historical power struggles between different factions within ancient Israelite society. This segment explores how Moses' portrayal as the dominant leader may have been shaped by later political and religious agendas. The Exodus narrative has evolved over time, with variations appearing in Jewish, Christian, and Islamic traditions. Each version emphasizes different aspects, reflecting the changing needs of religious communities. This segment examines how the story of Moses has been reshaped across different faiths. A controversial theory suggests that Moses was not a Hebrew at all but rather an Egyptian priest who led a religious rebellion. Some ancient sources, including the historian Manetho, describe a figure similar to Moses as an exiled Egyptian leader. This segment explores the possibility that Moses' origins were very different from what the Bible describes. The Exodus story has been used as a symbol of liberation and resistance throughout history, from the abolitionist movement to civil rights activism. This segment examines how the Moses narrative continues to influence political and social movements today. If the Exodus was a myth, what does that mean for religious traditions built upon it? This segment explores the implications of a non-historical Exodus for faith, identity, and scholarship. Before being written down, the story of Moses and the Exodus was likely passed down through oral tradition for centuries. Oral storytelling often leads to embellishments, reinterpretations, and symbolic additions to fit evolving cultural and political needs. Many ancient civilizations, including the Hebrews, relied on oral tradition to preserve their history, but this also meant that details could shift over generations. The possibility that the Exodus story was gradually shaped by retellings raises questions about its accuracy. Was Moses originally a minor historical figure who became legendary over time? Did different tribes contribute their own versions of the tale? This segment explores how oral tradition may have transformed a simple migration story into a grand epic of divine intervention and national identity.
Welcome to Blessovia Science TV, where we take you on an exhilarating journey through the cosmos and unravel the mysteries of science. We are excited to offer you the opportunity to become a valued member of our ever-growing community of cosmic enthusiasts and knowledge seekers. Exclusive access to cosmic content. As a member of Blessovia Science TV, you will gain exclusive access to a treasure trove of cosmic content, including documentaries, interviews with leading scientists, space missions updates, and awe-inspiring visualizations of the universe, live Q, and sessions with experts. Your membership will grant you the chance to participate in live Q and sessions with renowned scientists, astronomers, and space explorers. Get your burning questions answered by those who push the boundaries of human knowledge. Embark on a journey that spans the cosmos and join us in unraveling the secrets of the universe. Become a Blessovia Science TV member today, and together we will reach for the stars. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, and share. Don't forget to leave your comment.